specialize in music most people hate. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you check out our Facebook page, Instagram, and our website. Let us share the noise with you.
Yo, this is John from Noise Dosage Media, and this episode is brought to you by Begrudgingly Benny. Interested in putting something horrific and grotesque on your next piece of merch? Benny is tucked away in the fiery depths of COVID quarantine, blasting the filthiest of old school death metal and drawing hideous creatures that he is waiting for you to adopt. Go over to Instagram and follow @BegrudginglyBenny and contact him if you would like some really weird original art for your band or label. Super professional, highly recommended. What's up, Matt?
How you doing, John?
Matt from Vox&Hops and Cryptopsy on this. This is super sick. So I got a few questions for you. Ready?
Yeah, fire them off. Let me just get lubricated over here. I can't do an interview without any craft beer, so I'm about to crack open Broken Seven's Grand Chilim. It's a West Coast IPA from Broken Seven. This is a brewery here, which is brewed just outside of Montreal in Joliet. It's a nice little IPA, 6%. Go for it.
Hell yeah. I sent you a picture I'm drinking. I got really crappy rum, so that's what we got. But I don't know. I tended to stick to light beer, like Genesee, but like I don't know. That's the thing in Rochester.
I'm a craft beer fiend, so I can't help myself. It's really just taken off over the past few years, and it's an absolute obsession. This poured out much more darker and less hazy than I'd like it to look, but it is a West Coast. It's more like a malty color. It smells much more malt rich, and
yeah, heck yeah.
It's got some hot bite. It's pretty good. Not my favorite style of beer, but it's pretty good.
When I started listening to your podcast, I was like, shit, man, I got to start trying craft beer. So I went to my grocery store and I just bought I think it was like a mix-a-pack type thing.
Yeah, that's the best way to start.
That's what I've been doing. So slowly. What's your favorite type? Like sweet or like, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different categories.
I am everywhere about craft beer. I really like beer in general. I like how it's people play with it like an art form.
Right.
But my go-to, what a lot of the population is really, really into right now, is this hazy New England style IPA, which is much more tropical. It's not bitter. It's extremely juicy, crazy crushable. You can drink a bunch of them, and you won't even realize that you're clogging down a bunch of 6 to 7% ABV beers, which takes some getting used to, but you get used to it after a while. But I really like all styles of beers. I like to start with some sours on a typical drinking day. When I know I'm going to taste a bunch of beers, I'll start with some sours, either some gozas, which is like a little bit of salt in it, and sour, which comes from Germany. And although everyone's going to say that the gozas that we have over here are a bastardization of what actually happens in Germany, of course. And then I like to move through IPAs, and then I always end up finishing up with a nice heavy stout that's been bourbon barrel aged is really my favorite way to go with a day of enjoying craft beer.
Hell yeah. Well, I got to take notes. So first question here is, so how has your podcast, Vox&Hops, made your outlook on the metal scene change?
Oh, it's a much more tight-knit community. I knew it was, but I didn't realize how tight-knit it was. We all know each other. Everybody is connected. It's very interesting to see how I've gotten so many guests via referrals from other guests that I've had, and I knew that just from touring and being out there, the way that there's a brotherhood, but it stems so much deeper than I thought it did. And I knew it was because, you go on tour with someone, you spend 3 to 6 weeks living together, either on a bus or traveling together in different vehicles. And it becomes like a community, a brotherhood. And then you don't see each other, let's say, for sometimes years at a time. But then when you see the person again, exactly where you left off. So I knew that. But with the podcast, it's interesting because I get to go so deep with everyone when in my conversations. It's really like a one-on-one no distractions. There's no loud music playing in the background. There's no
Yeah.
interruptions from other people coming to have conversations with them, which would happen on the tour buses. I always, the questions that I ask on Vox and Hops are questions that I ask people. I'm just like that. But,
Yeah.
here I am. I really get to go deep with someone. And I feel like I really, really know someone very well by the time I finish interviewing them. And it's very, very interesting. And that's probably about it. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah, I think the funniest thing about talking to people at shows is like I'll have friends, like the typical if you go to a show and you know the guy just from being at shows. They always try to talk to you during a set and they're like
Hmm.
freaking screaming. They're like, "Yo, man, did you
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
about?" Yeah, it's like let's just not do that.
It's the worst, dude. The worst is that warm, warm breath in your ear.
Right. Right. And it's got to be super close, man.
It drives me crazy. And as a vocalist, and I'm sure you've had other vocalists say this, the thing that kills my voice the most is the shouting during sets. If I'm helping out at the merch booth, or if I tend to party. If that happens, it doesn't happen very often that I'm partying after our set, maybe, but we tend to, maybe on that Cannibal Corpse obituary tour we had time to party and there was still a show going on when we finished playing. There I had to really watch and be careful that I wasn't speaking too loudly
Right.
during the party after a set. So, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be impossible to I don't know, talk over freaking Corpse Grinder. I feel like is he a loud dude? Like just I
Oh,
don't know,
no,
without
no.
music.
No, it depends. He was very quiet on that tour. I've heard different versions of George. The George that I saw on that tour was very tame, and he is soft spoken, but he can get loud at times. But like any human. But he was specifically quiet on that tour. They had been out for quite some time, and
Right.
I think everyone was a bit burnt out at that point.
I uh I was just watching a video the other day with Corpse Grinder. It was like the funniest moments, top whatever on YouTube. And somebody chucked like a can of beer or something at him on stage. And he's like, "Yo, if I fucking see you, I'm gonna kick your head off your shoulders." I'm like, "Damn, that's rough."
He
But
probably would, but he's actually a bit. He's a big teddy bear, like all us
right.
death metal people. We're all much more bark than our bite. There's always a few, crazy people out there, but everyone that I've crossed and everyone that I've interviewed are all just the nicest people.
Right. So, how are you trying to improve your methods every episode?
Oh, I'm very critical, and I always try to analyze. I don't have enough. I put out a lot of content, so it's hard to go back and actually listen to everything that I do, but I edit everything that I do. So I'm
Hmm.
always trying to keep it interesting, trying to keep new questions. I try to make it to something that I would like to be asked. I do not like to ask those standard questions that I've been asked and are so
Right.
horrible and so just I'm over with, and I don't even want to answer them anymore. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say
it's like, so how did you get in the band?
exactly that one, or how's the tour been, or
Right.
like those two, and then I've toured Mexico, and no disrespect to these young children, that they were starting up some zine or something, and they didn't even know who we were, and so trying to do a little
Yeah.
bit more research on my side. I find there are some times when I've done some interviews and I didn't do enough like back work on my end to really
Yeah,
go
I
deep
had
about
two
what,
of those.
and that's something that I'm trying to work upon, to really be really well prepared, so that I really know what's going on. I'm actually reading this book right now, um, Howard Stern's new book. So I think it's called Howard Comes Again,
Yeah.
and very interesting. The amount of he has people that work for him, obviously, that do all the background research and stuff, but to get the artist to have that look, and like, how do you know this there, that's something that I'm striving for
Right on. Hell yeah. So here's a question for you. So when balancing your time during the day, what's your first priority?
now. Right now Cryptopsy is writing a new record. I have I'm working like a lot because I work as an early childhood educator.
Hmm.
So in the context of COVID, we have these like bubbles at work where only certain people can work with children, and we're open from a certain time and closed from a certain time, but only certain people can be with these kids during this bubble. So I'm at work much longer than I normally am. So I'm still doing a lot of work there, which is different because I don't normally spend that much time at work, but I am now. So that's like a balance that
Right.
I'm trying to get through on my own. I have two kids of my own. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
give them a bunch of attention and love. Vox&Hops gets a lot of my attention. Cryptopsy is writing a new record. I'm trying to motivate the boys to keep getting that done so that I can dive in and start doing my vocals on that and start writing. I have the whole concept. I know what I'm going to write about, but I always just write when I have the music. That's really what inspires me. So I need those tracks before I can start going.
The final mixes.
No, I honestly on the I almost said Vox and Hops. You can see where my priorities are. On the Book of Suffering Tome 2, I actually wrote all of my lyrics and vocals just to a guitar and a click. That's all I need.
Damn.
Yeah. So
Damn.
that's all I need really. And I'm, as every artist is probably up to their neck with collaboration ideas that came about through COVID. So I'm currently doing. I'm revamping. I'm not revamping. It's not something that we're going to start doing, but my first band ever, which was in the year 2000, had a
Reunion
horror.
tour.
No, but we're recording an EP, one track at a
Okay.
time. So I'm involved in that, which is very interesting to go back and sing these melodies and words. There's no screaming. It was just clean vocals from 20 years ago. That's
Right.
and still somehow managed to get goosebumps. It's very interesting, and
That's
I'm
awesome.
involved in this brand new project with a good friend of mine called Jim Gregory, who has been on, I guess, on my podcast. He has a band called Solium Fatalis, and we're doing a new project together. And I'm a part of. I did a few tracks for another project from my friends. I can't say names because I don't know what they're saying, but I'm part of another project with some boys that I've toured with. So there's a lots and lots of stuff that is going
Damn.
on. I'm
Yeah, you
juggling.
got a schedule ahead of you. So,
I am
so
booked all the time.
right. So backtrack with your kids. Are they boys or girls?
I have a 4-year-old girl, a 2-year-old boy. They are
Okay.
awesome, intense, and super fun, but lots of energy.
Right. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you if they're older, if you're trying to get them into music.
They seem to have an interest in it already, but we'll see where that goes. Cryptopsy, we talk about this a lot about how much we should push our children into music or not. Donaldson, my guitarist, always jokes
Yeah, they'd
that
be in a band together.
we talk about that, but it's more so the because we want them to become, avant-garde extreme metal lovers such as us.
Right.
But we became, not so much me, but Donaldson became a metal lover because he is an extremist, an opposite. He likes to go against the trends. So he's thinking about just playing rap and hip hop in the house all the time so that his
Hell
son
yeah.
goes against it and becomes a metalhead. But that's just,
Fuck yeah.
but my kids love metal. I put on, they go through like their phases of what their favorite tracks are at the moment. During COVID, for some reason, it was Du Hast from Ramstein.
Duas.
That was
Fuck yeah.
their track. Before that, when my daughter was really really young, I had just done the Cannibal Corpse tour, and Scourge of
Yep.
Iron was her jam. Like she just loved it. And it's funny because I've said this on the podcast and my podcast. I play extreme music in the house all the time. I play a bunch of music in the house all the time, but I put on Beethoven during COVID at one
Fuck yeah.
point,
I
and
listen to Sinatra, man.
they were afraid of it though, which is what's funny.
What?
Yeah, they were more afraid of Beethoven because of the nuances and the fluctuations than a Cannibal Corpse song because it was
They're
more
like,
like
what's
what
wrong, Dad? What's going on, man?
what are these movements?
Right. Hey, man, Sinatra. That's what I listen to once in a while. So,
Yeah, that's it. You can't go wrong with old blue eyes.
yeah. So, how does this is a funny question. With death metal being in that type of band, does art separate from entertainment or is it the same?
We just try to write good songs, but I see. extreme music as an art form, especially when it's packaged well together. Look at this
Yep.
new band. There's this new band everyone's loving, and I love them too. I've had them on the podcast, Imperial Triumphant. They are a
Fuck yeah.
band.
I talked to him too, Zach.
Yeah, Zach, he's amazing. But they are a band that understands that metal can be an art form. It's a pure
Right.
package. The artwork, the aesthetic, the stage show, the overall vibe of the music. Another one is a Bell Witch,
Mm-hmm.
just a pure and like an enveloping thing. Oranzi Pazuzu. I hope I'm saying that right. Oranzi, yeah. Total package again, where that is an art form, But
Mm-hmm.
and then you wonder, there's the five finger death punches out there. Is that an art form?
Oh fuck.
I don't know. I don't know.
No, please no.
They probably,
Fuck.
for someone it must be, but
Yeah.
yeah, but definitely Imperial
Damn.
Triumphant. I see that as being they're onto something. Yeah, everyone watch that
I
band.
I saw them at the Bug Jar, a really small venue in Rochester. 50 people, and I saw Imperial Triumphant, and I lost my shit. Like I don't know. Have you seen them live?
I haven't. I was supposed to at the Devastation on the Nation tour. I was actually supposed to ride with them for some days because I was organizing some craft beer parties in
Mm-hmm.
Toronto, Montreal, and Quebec City. But COVID sucks.
Yeah, I fucking tore down everything, man. Every plan in the book. Yeah, so when I saw them, I'm a guitar player myself, and just watching Zach just freaking shred. Like all the lights were off in the venue. It was just like one of those things where it was like more of like a atmosphere thing.
It's an
Like
experience.
if you didn't feel it, like you were at the wrong show because
Yeah.
they do that, man. But yeah, I can't wait for their new album.
Stoked. I think it's coming out this Friday, which is going to date your episode.